Right. Right.
お願いします。
お願いします。Hey, side to side. Hey, your shoulders. Just up in circles, one way. The other way. And arms going forward. Arms going back. So, and to the front. Sides. Stretching one side. The other side. And cross. Side. The other side. Open and close. Eyes are aquí. Hand tight. Ojo, both sides. Benji. Yoko. Forward. Down. So. And your knees back. Circles one way. Circles the other way. Hey, down. 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 Okay, open your toes. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Down. Up. Down again. Hey, breathing in. Breathing out. And up. Hey, breathing in. Breathing out. And up. One more time. Down, breathing in. Breathing out. And hey, your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The side, raising your leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And hip hinges. Keep your hands close to your chest, shoulders back, reaching your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Open your legs to the thigh. Open your legs, lower your hips, your legs, lower your hips, open legs, lower hips, up, down. Let's open there. Go for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Side to side. So, with lower one side and the other side. And side toes up. And the other side toes up. Open your legs a bit more. Elbows down. So, bring your legs in, hands down. Hey, walking forward, hips down, Hips back. Forward again. Hips up. Walking backwards. Breathing in. Breathing out, opening up. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Coming forward. Hips down. Hips back. Forward again. Toes, hips up. Walking backwards. Breathing in. Breathing out. In. Go. In. Go. Going forward. Hips down. And hips back. One more time, forward. Toes, hips. Walking backwards. Breathing in. Breathing out. In. Out. In. Out. Walking forward. So, hips back, down, sorry, and hips back. So, hey, sitting down, and passing your foot, and so, moving your leg. And our toes. And one direction. The other direction. Toes up, down, up, down, up, down. Rubbing. Tapping. And shaking. And going up, down, up, down, and outside. Do the other side. Do it again. So. Can you believe that the other day I went to a school and I did this, cross the leg like that, and one child said, "Oh my God, you are super flexible." That's where we are. That's where we are in terms of flexibility. But having one leg straight and the other leg crossed is being super flexible. It's like, you're kidding me? Like, oh, guy, you're super flexible. Like, why? Because I can have one leg straight and the other one crossed. It's like, okay. So turn the other way and open up one side, the other side, one side, the other side, one side, the other side. Rubbing on your top, your foot, and tapping. And the good old art of crossing your legs. People don't think with legs crossed anymore. Well, not even that. It used to be rude, and now not even rudeness. We are too stiff to be rude. And put it forward. So, back, and send your legs back. Up. And legs up. Toes pointing to the ceiling. Bend your knees, come your back. So, sit up. Stretch your back, breathing in and breathing out. Stretch again. So raising your legs. Bend your knees, curve your back, and sit up. So stretch and breathe in, breathe out. So one more time, last one. Going back. Raising your legs. Bend your knees, curve your back, and sit. So breathing in and breathing out. Open your legs, touching one side, touching toes, touching the other side. Toes, one side. Toes, the other side. One side. Toes, the other side. Toes, the other side. Toes, the other side. Toes. So, all right. Before we go with the next part. So basically, this week we try to start to pay attention to our abdominal muscles or core muscles in order to continue the conversation about connection. Last week we started by connecting through the floor and just paying a lot of attention to our connection between our feet and the floor. You know, the basic idea of how to gather, good posture, kinetic energy, good stability, things like that come from having a good base, in the floor. And then obviously then the point there is that energy that is created through connection to the floor has to be transmitted to the body. So the next part for that transmission is having an engaged core muscle group. It has been, it has came to my attention that obviously different people, many of us have different levels of conditioning on our core muscles. But not even only conditioning, but just basic awareness of our core muscles. It's like one of those things that sometimes we take for granted. Like say, when we say to a person, relax, but we don't really exactly know they or us, we don't really exactly know what we mean by relax. Or when we say, move from your center. And again, like possibly after a bit of training, we have a bit of a better idea of what it is to move from our center. But for a lot of people, that very phrase is still foreign. It was for me for a long time when I started training Aikido. So there are certain words that we use that sometimes we take for granted. So engaging our core muscles is possibly sometimes one of those words in that category. So the development of any muscle group, I think, just basically starts, goes from a series of phases. The first phase is to be aware of the muscle group. If we are not aware of the muscle group, then we cannot really work with it. That's why, for example, working with our hips or working many times with certain parts of our lower body, it's so difficult because we don't use them as consciously as we use our upper body. Our upper body is constantly in operation. So there's more awareness on our upper body than section in our core and our lower body. So awareness of the muscle group is important. Then our capacity to willingly create tension and release of that particular muscle group, regardless of the level of strength, even if it's very, very minor, even if it's very, very gentle. But no, can I tense the muscle group? Can I release the muscle group? Can I tense the muscle group? Can I release it? So obviously we will qualify that the more I can tense it, the stronger the muscle group is. Not necessarily, but that's kind of our interpretation of it, right? So, the more I can engage the muscle group, the stronger it is. So after being aware that I can tense it and release it, after being aware of its existence and the capacity of tensing and releasing, then I start developing its strength with a whole bunch of different exercises that are pertinent for that muscle group. And then after that, I test somehow the strength of the muscle group by doing other actions that will put that muscle group into a little bit of a test of how much strength it has developed. So anyway, so these 4 areas: awareness, basic idea of, tensing and releasing, strengthening the muscle group, and testing the muscle group, many times are kind of just compound into one big ball. And sometimes it's helpful just to kind of separate them a little bit and think them a little bit by themselves. So anyway, so let's start just with the very first, like the very basic awareness of our muscle group will be by some form of external percussion, right? So even that's why Karada O is such a good exercise for our body, because it brings awareness to the, from an external point of view, to our body in general, our shoulders, our arms, our hands. When we come to the trunk of our body, starts to test, or starts to kind of wake up and bring awareness to certain muscle areas. So the other side. So just bring awareness to it. At the end, I will say why I use the word test, because testing and awareness eventually is like a big circle, where you test with certain form of awareness. But at the moment, we're kind of in the first part of the circle, just basic awareness of, of how is that part of my body feeling, So the lower back. Hey, legs. And so on. So any form of external percussion into a muscle group will bring a level of awareness to that muscle group. Basic tapping with massage, one of those little massage guns that exist these days, in the lowest possible setting with the softest possible head, just to bring awareness into that area. Things like shiatsu or acupuncture or hara work, all of those things, what they invite us to do is to bring awareness to certain parts. So just do that now, please. Grab your, with your hands, just start pressing around your core muscle area, not, in all the sections, like the upper abdominals, the medium abdominals, the lower abdominals, the lats, the obliques, which is just all below your rib cage area, slightly on the lower back, you just now start just creating some pressure into your own body, with a little bit more consciousness of trying to say, I'm going to squeeze those areas, kind of be aware of them. So again, lower back muscles, lateral muscles below the rib cage, lower abdominals, which is below your belly button, medium abdominals, which is around your belly button, and then upper abdominals, which is closer to your rib cage again. So all of that is the area that we will need to kind of somehow bring awareness to. Okay. So after that has happened, without using the breath yet, just in purely muscular terms. Okay. Can you contract? Can you release? Can you contract? Can you release? Can you contract? And can you release? As I say, don't necessarily put too much attention at the moment to your breathing section. We're going to work more on that next week. Just contract the muscles and release the muscles. There will be some natural, breath work happening with it, but don't worry too much about it. Just contract the lower muscles and release the lower muscles. The abdominal muscles, contract them and release them. Contract them and release them. Contract them and release. So once again, put your hands, around your area. If you don't feel, because we have our belts, we should be able to, even without belts, we should be able to feel our own action of contracting and releasing lower muscles. Your belt helps. If you need extra help, just put your hands and see if you can contract and release, contract and release, contract and release, contract, release, contract, release, contract, release, contract, release. Okay, so most of the time when we say engage your core muscles, we're not asking so much to test your core muscles or to strengthen your core muscles. It's just to have an awareness of that rhythm. Okay, so for example, if we practice a kokyu movement, I go engage your core muscles, release your core muscles. Okay, so for example, let's just do that basic kokyu dosa. So raise hands up, engage in your core muscles, pivot, use your spine, and release your core muscles. Okay, so tensing your core muscles, keep them in tension, pivot, lower, keep them in tension, and release. Okay, raise, tension, pivot, stay in tension, lower, and release. Okay, raising, tension, continue with the tension, moving with the tension, and release tension. So in a simple movement like that, can we do that? In addition to our arms, can we engage our core muscles? Can we tense our abdominal muscles, keep them in place, move while keeping them in place, and release them? Okay, raising, engaging, moving, engaged, move, engage, and release. Okay, engage, engage, release, engage, engage, release, and so on. So that's a very basic set of movements, but in a way, that awareness of the body needs to develop. Similar as with breathing, where we would say, oh, breathe in here, breathe out there, breathe in here, breathe out there. Eventually, our core muscles engage and disengage in a more I wouldn't say involuntary fashion, although they do. By very, very nature of pressure, our muscle groups engage and disengage involuntarily. That's one of the things that we need to be aware at the beginning of our training. When we are just starting training, we tend to tense involuntarily certain muscle groups. So that's when someone is really tense and we say to them, relax, relax, relax. We are not even aware that we have tension in a muscle group. So therefore we cannot consciously relax, 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 because we don't have awareness of that muscle group, and because we are not even aware that we are tensing that muscle group. So there is a little bit of a process before the well-intentioned advice of relax, because again, I may not even know that I have that muscle group, let alone that it's engaged. So anyway, but eventually it becomes a process, a natural process, not so much an involuntary process, but more like a natural process, as well as breathing. When do you breathe in? When do you breathe out? When do you engage? When do you disengage? So, okay, so on your back, stand. Okay, first let's start by, closing the gap between your lower back and your arc and your lower area. Just close the gap, and just start by raising. In that moment, but because you're closing the gap, your muscle groups are engaged. Start raising your knee one side, put it down, raising the other side, put it down, raising it one side, put it down, raise the other side, put it down. Even such a basic movement as this one already requires some muscle core engagement. So if our core muscles are not well developed, we need to start with very gentle set of movements in that form. Sometimes our core muscles won't even like the raising of the legs, because the raising of the legs is already working with areas that are really heavy. So we will have to start by doing exactly the same thing, but with the hands, which are much lighter, and just basically start sending them back, one at a time. 1 and 2 and 3 and so on. So when we go back all the way to only using, let's say, hands, not even legs, is when we have some form of condition in our abdominal area or in our lower back. So we have some form of chronic problem or some condition or intervention which is quite severe in that area. So most of us should be able to at least tolerate the raising of the legs. But what I'm saying is, sometimes because we have some form of condition, that won't even be tolerated. So, we have to start by still engaging core muscles, but then just testing them with a much lighter set of tools, which is the arms, which are much lighter than the legs. But I hope that that's not the case for anyone, in this particular situation. So continue using your legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now this time both legs at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So obviously this gentle version of the much more difficult thing, which is raising of the legs, all together. So the raising of the legs all together. At the moment we're working with half the leg as opposed to the entire leg. So, but the idea is the same. Okay. So one more time, individual legs alternating this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Keep those core muscles engaged. 8, 9, 10. Both legs at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and rest. Okay. So again, this is very gentle, strengthening exercises, but hopefully doing properly, you start feeling good. All right. This time, bring your hands up. Okay, in your half dead bug position, so your hands are up. Okay, and the same thing, raising of your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Both legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and relax. Okay, so these ones are kind of really, really gentle set of core exercises, which is the very beginning of developing the third phase. Once we develop the phase awareness, and then we develop the phase of engagement, then we start with the phase of strengthening, which is hopefully this one. Okay, so now push your hips down, raise your legs, raise your hands. So keeping your legs up. Okay, we're going to bypass only using the hands, because I'm going to assume that we don't have a chronic condition that has to be treated. But again, if there is a chronic condition that has to be treated, then abort the legs and continue working with the hands alone and with the small steps with the legs down for as long as you feel that you are developing the strength in that area. Okay, so in this case, legs up, hands up. Okay, and cross lateral, opposite sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and homolateral, same side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bilateral, both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and relax. Okay, so again, with dead bug, which is this basic set of exercises, remember, the most basic dead bug will be just pressing your hips down, engaging your core muscles, having your arms up, and then just using individual arms in order to do the movement. The second, less demanding, will be to use your legs in halfway, just to raise them individually, and if possible, raise them together. Okay. The third one will be to start to raise legs and arms together. Okay. Maybe you can only move the arms for a while, or you can use now the legs. Eventually you will use the legs and the arms. Cross lateral first, homolateral second, and bilateral is the most difficult of that set of exercises. Okay, obviously after that comes other things like bands and resistant bands and things like that, if you want to keep using the same exercise to develop further and further and further. But what I'm saying is there's a reasonable set of steps in a dead bug exercise to go from very basic to more challenging. Okay, so one more time: raise legs, raise hands, okay, and cross lateral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Homolateral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bilateral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and relax. Okay, so, hey. All right, so, so after your your basic set of dead bug exercises, another way to kind of check more or less the strength of your core muscles is by your basic reg raises. Okay, you can raise your leg, with different levels of support until you eventually raise both legs. But in the beginning, once again, you may not have the core muscle strength for it. So in the beginning, just keeping your legs straight and trying to see how they respond by individual raises with you having support on the mat. Okay, it's a way of starting testing, your core muscles, your flexibility on your hips and things like that. Okay, eventually, and you take them off, and then you just raise them by themselves. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and eventually, and you now lean backwards, but you raise them both. Okay, which is your basic position of, so 1 and release, 2, release, 3, release, 4, release, 5, release, 6, release, 7, release, 8, release, 9, release, 10, release. Okay, and now can you hold 10 seconds without releasing? Okay, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and relax. Okay, so anyway, so now we're working on raising those legs, as we can see again, it depends on our condition of our core muscles. May start as simple as have support on your hands and just basically raise your legs in that position. For people, if you are a bit more developed in your core muscles, obviously this feels like nothing. But if we had a core muscle problem or a back lower muscle problem, this will be already challenging enough. If it's okay with support, then maybe the next one is without support, same idea. And I raise, and I raise, and I raise, and I raise. If that's okay, then can I raise both legs and put them down? I raise both legs and put them down. I raise both legs and put them down. And if that's okay, then we hold the 2 legs up at the same time. Ready? And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. One more time. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. Turn around. All right. Now, next one, the last one for today, bird dog, okay, which is another good exercise to test these kind of things. Again, the idea for me is to show you 2 or 3 different exercises that go in kind of very slow phases, okay? The dead bug in its simplest phase, the raised legs in the simplest phase, and this time bird dog in its simplest phase. So, once again, you're in this position, engage your core muscles, okay? In this case, you're going to engage, sucking in those tummy muscles in, okay? That curves a little bit your lower back. Okay, careful to not do it in a cow position, a little bit, sorry, not in a cat position, not fully in a cow position, but a little bit somewhere in between. Okay, so just first, just check that you can go from, you know, what's this one? This one is cow, isn't it?
Cow.
And this one is cat. I never know what the name of these things are. Is that what's on this? That's cow?
I don't know.
This cat?
Actually, which one is
I think this is cat. It should be a cat. There is no cows that are like that. Okay, cow and then cat. So make sure that you kind of transition from those two phases. You know, arching your back, curving your back, and then just give them whatever name you want. Okay, arching your back, curving your back, arching your back, curving your back. So somewhere in between, in the middle of those two, is when you engage your core muscles. Okay, same thing. You can start with your arms alone. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. If your arms feel okay, if the position feels okay, because the position may not even feel okay, that's where you have to go back into dead bug because you have support on your lower back. Okay, so the position may not even feel okay. So that's why the transition of these 2 positions is good to study. And then starting with your arms, if the arms feel okay, starting with your legs, you know, and that's when you start checking. How is my arm feeling? Now, next one, okay, you can start by raising your leg and just lifting your hand off the mat. Not quite extending it, but just lifting your hand off the mat. Lifting your hand off the mat. Lifting your hand off the mat. If that's okay, then you may try opposite hand, opposite leg. Fully stretching. Okay, so once again, before we go to the one that we should be able to do, you know, you start by using your hands, or you start by checking the position between these 2 movements, engaging in the middle, checking your hands. If your hands feels okay, checking your legs. If your legs feel okay, release your hand and raise your leg, release your hand and raise your leg, release your hand, raise your leg. If that feels okay, then you may try these ones. And then the next one, which is more complicated. Okay, so let's start with these ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if that felt okay, come into a plank position with your legs open. Okay, and now again, if you can do the leg, only can do the leg. Okay, otherwise leg and hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and relax. Okay. All right, let's finish up. I'm taking too much time. But anyway, so the idea was to start that, you know, reflection of saying, am I aware of my core muscles? Am I aware? Can I use an external follow exercise to remind me of them? Can I consciously and unconsciously engage them and release them? You know, tense them and release them with any form of strength. And then from then, can I develop a set of exercises that adjust to the level of strength that I currently have, to kind of start from there and not just say, oh, this exercise is too hard, you know, I can't really do it. Well, is there something else below that I can do? You know, because these 3 exercises, for example, are very, very basic set of exercises of core muscle that we should be working to different levels to be able to do. You have more complicated ones, but this one's a good place to start. You know, start developing strength, and then we test it. And the way we test it in our training is in techniques. Can I keep those core muscles engaged when applying techniques and when receiving techniques? That's our testing ground of this, the application in techniques. Hopefully we'll get there. Okay. Hey, ready? Hey.
どうもありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。Thank you.